this little camp doing here?
Welcome back, YouTube. Minnescience back with G and J. Quick video. If you guys have not noticed, if you have not seen, this past Friday, Pacquiao and Errol Spence announced that they are going to fight August 21st of this year. I don't even know what to say. I wanted to make a video earlier. I'm sure Jay wanted to make a video earlier, but we were super busy, and I'm not going to hold you. We're going to get right to it. Jay, first question. Did you even believe this when you saw the Instagram post from EJ or whoever you saw it from?
So I got to preface it with the landscape of boxing right now and all the pump fakes that we've had to endure within the last year and a half. So when I first saw the poster, I don't think I noticed the quality of it, and so it almost looked a little bit low budget. So I'm like, no, let me double check this, see who else was talking about it. And then when I saw that Pacquiao had posted it, I'm like, okay, all right, we official. They just threw it out there as, an initial thing, but it's official because Pacquiao don't say nothing unless it's already on the dotted line. So I can't say that I'm surprised because of the way that Errol moves, for one, and to be honest, the way Al Heyman moves. And it seemed like Errol is almost a better disciple than Mayweather even was because of. He doesn't need to create a character. He just moves like that. You know what I mean?
That is a good point. I wasn't thinking about, as his business has been better. And I kind of think, I think the primary reason for his business being better is because he put more stake into himself. He bought into himself early. And I will say that is similar to Mayweather, or similar to anybody that's going to rise to the top. You fight credible fighters, and it just slowly increases your value. That's it. Until you get the big fight, because the person that has the high value sees you as an asset to their legacy. So they fight you, and then you become the star. And that's what he did. He has fought, started with Kell Brook, and he tried to get Keith Thurman. Who he go to after that? What was it, Lamont Peterson? I mean, it was a notch. He couldn't get anybody else. So he fought Mikey Garcia after he beat Adrian Browner. He's picking his name up, and Bunny. And then he fought Sean Porter. And then he fought Danny Garcia. And we're going to have to do another video for the legacy game because he killing the legacy game. But I agree with you on the business. A lot of pump fakes. What we have? Ryan Garcia, which was weird. Mm-hmm. We had a whole bunch of Terrence Crawford rumors back and forth.
Right. We've had multiple fights, whether it be heavyweight or lightweight, whatever, talking about they're going to be in Saudi Arabia. Not one of them came.
The Saudi Arabia joints. Yeah, the Saudi Arabia legacy.
I think the only person that went over there was Dana White.
Well, no. Did I think Anthony Joshua, heavyweight champion of the world currently, fought his first or second or both his fights against is it Andy Ruiz, the heavyweight Mexican heavyweight? Is it Andy Ruiz?
I believe it was Saudi Arabia.
It might have been because I remember they said they couldn't drink. I remember them saying in the crowd they couldn't drink. It was a lot of business professional. I mean, it's a lot. Either way, the Saudi Arabia rumor. Whenever you hear something about a fight going on in the Middle East, especially boxing, it's probably not happening as far as we're concerned. So okay, we didn't believe the rumors. How big is this fight, though? How big do you feel this fight is?
I think that people are downplaying how big it is because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Pacquiao's old." But all right, you ready to talk?
Hold up. Who said that?
A lot of people saying Pacquiao old. I mean, to be honest, the dude is old. But I mean, he's like Tom Brady old. Like we don't really know how far he gonna do it until he do it. You know what I mean? Like he hasn't shown. He's shown different tactics, but he hasn't shown characteristics of being an old fighter yet. You know what I mean?
He hasn't. I don't know. When we do the breakdown of the fight, we'll look at his career and we'll see which fights happened before and after, whichever fight as a big landmark. But that's a good point. I don't really recall him just being bad it was that's what it was. It was the fight against the Australian. That's what started all the nonsense about him being washed up. Was it what was his name? Horn.
Uh,
Jeff Horn?
yeah, Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn.
Jeff Horn. That's what started all the rumors. Then
Huge for 147, by the way.
he had to put hands, all types of hands and feet on Keith Thurman. So going back to significance. Sorry, I cut you off on that. Significance. How significant is it?
I would say to the people that know how the landscape of boxing is going to change from this fight, it's more significant. To the people that don't necessarily consider Errol Spence a household name just yet, or don't consider Pacquiao to still have the same status that he once had when Mayweather was still around, they may look at it a different way. But for us, that we know that this is going to determine who the true pound for pound king is, and it's the gap is going to be definitive. We know that if Pacquiao gets beat, this is pretty much going to end his career, which is going to be the end of an era. So we know that this is also going to change the leverage as far as purses and who can demand what, especially from Errol Spence standpoint, because I wouldn't say that he's frugal, but he's very about his business and tries to keep a lot of stuff under wraps, especially now that he's growing as a father and trying to invest and do all those other things. For a little bit he was jawing back and forth, but that was when he was hanging with Adrian Bronner and a couple other folks. But it seems like he's reeling himself back in and keeping everything on the hush hush and just moving how he's supposed to move.
With the mouthing off, again, I mean, he's a prideful guy. I've seen some videos of him when he was maybe in the amateurs or in Olympic trials and all the other stuff. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he has some dog in him, and it seems like maybe his upbringing or maybe his conscience that keeps him out of the limelight, or his natural personality. But he has some dog in him, and he will talk some shit. We did see him talk shit in person to Terrence Crawford. So I don't see why people, even I do at times, see it as a knock on him when he finally does speak up and he holds his ground about something. And I'm like, oh, that's out of character. Maybe that's his character. Maybe he just don't want to be bothered. And once you're in his way, you're gonna get that smoke. So come back with some more about significance.
Well, hold on, to stay right there for a second. I was gonna notice I noticed a connector, because in my opinion, I think football players turn boxers usually have first they usually have grit, we expect that, but they also had the capacity to talk a little bit more trash because they're used to high competition and it being a direct conflict. Now you got your exceptions like your Porters, who are much more of a chill type of person, but in the ring he's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all about getting close, getting physical. Right. Real early in the fight. But as far as significance, I'm on the same page with you. I couldn't see how. I was gonna say I couldn't see how anybody wouldn't see this as a high level fight of the year, maybe fight of the last 5 years, the biggest fight in the last 5 years. Because when Pacquiao fought Keith Thurman, maybe because his lackluster fight, after getting in an accident, after taking time off, and after getting hurt by not Leo Santa Cruz, but the Mexican 147 pounder that he had no business being in a tough fight with. After having that fight and taking a break, people already had second thoughts about Keith Thurman. This is Errol Spence in his prime, leading up, almost getting in the way of the undisputed fight between Spence and Terrence Crawford. And then you couple that with the fact that he was supposed to fight Terrence Crawford, and that deal fell apart. That EJ saying that I'm supposed to get 60-40 or 70-30 right now before I fight Manny Pacquiao, and now he's about to fight Manny Pacquiao. If he wins, he's going to be able to demand all types of stuff, and we don't even know if that fight is going to happen. So that's a significant standpoint right there. But when we thinking about how big this fight is, not pay-per-view yet, we're going to get the pay-per-view, but how big this fight is at 147 or 154 is the meeting of two guys at this level. Can you compare it to any fights that you remember from history or from the fights you've watched?
I got one. I got one now, and I think it's gonna slightly fall short just because of the COVID culture with trying to get fans back in attendance.
Right.
But the very first fight that I thought about as something comparable was Hector Camacho versus Sugar Ray Leonard.
Oh, damn.
Here's why. Here's why. Here's why.
Okay.
Really, reel it in, not because of the destruction, but I'm talking about the reputation those two had still going into it. Sugar Ray Leonard had come back at, with the Donnie Lalonde and all of that, and had a resurgence, right? And then with Camacho, he had already had his out of the ring troubles, kind of a little. I think he had tested positive for cocaine or whatever, but was still a great fighter. So it was like what was going on in their lives balanced them out just enough for it to still be considered a blockbuster fight. And both of them were household names. So Pacquiao is definitely a household name. I think in the Black community, Spence is definitely a household name, but I'm not sure what his impact is universally. But Pacquiao will catapult him to that, no doubt, especially with him being a Texas-born kid, fought in Dallas, in Cowboy Stadium, from the Dallas area, well-spoken, you know what I mean? So
That's
it just seems like
actually
perfect formula.
that's actually. I mean, there's a lot of young fighters that had to put down great old fighters, but you don't get a lot of instances where the young fighter is fighting the old fighter after he just beat the brakes off somebody in their same weight class, and not even beat the brakes off him, hurt him on the level we've never seen Keith Thurman hurt. Speaking of Pacquiao fighting Keith Thurman
Right.
years ago, and you coming in here, and him still, and that fighter actually having advantages. When is the last time, if ever, you've seen the older fighter come in with physical advantages in the fight against the younger fighter? And I mean, we talking about 40s or in the twilight. We talking about the real twilight. When did we ever see physical advantages? Bernard Hopkins didn't have no physical advantages over most of these dudes
You
if
got to
they
go
were.
to heavyweight for all that. You got to go with Foreman versus what's the name, Reed, the left-handed heavyweight.
Oh no, Michael Moore.
Michael
Michael
Moore,
Moore.
yes.
I mean, he was stronger
Right.
and taller. Right. He was stronger and taller, and they always say the power is the last thing to go. So you got the
Yep.
puncher's chance. But Pacquiao, when he was fighting Thurman, he looked like the. He didn't look like it. He was the faster guy, and he was 40. So that's shame on Thurman being one of the faster 147 pounders, and that actually goes back to significant, or that brings the point home with significance. The worst thing that can happen is Pacquiao beat Spence, and that's going to pretty much delegitimize or reduce the value of this entire 147-pound division, their relevance in the scheme of
Right.
it all. If Floyd and Pacquiao ran their stuff and they beat the old people that were leaving, like the Shane Mosleys, they dusted them off. The Shane Mosleys, the Cotto came up with them, and the Oscar De La Hoyas, they got them up out of there. They got them up out of there. And then they come in and they beat the young dudes after them that we think are great. Then we're gonna say, period, point blank, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao are gonna be in the top four small guys of all time, period, top four. And when you say top four, that means we're talking about Tommy Hearns, we're talking about Sugar Ray Leonard, we're talking about Sugar Ray Robinson, we're talking about Roberto Duran. They are both going to go down as top four. I mean, we have Mayweather really high already, but if Pacquiao's dusting off these young dudes, y'all can never say, oh, Floyd should have fought more of these young guys. He should have fought Keith Thurman. He should have fought a fast southpaw and Devin Alexander. He should have fought Timothy Bradley. He should have fought Errol Spence, even though he sparred with him, and all this riffraff. If Pacquiao beats him, it's over. I might not. It'd be hard for me. It'd be like watching Gotti fights at this point. Once Floyd did what he did to Gotti, I didn't care about watching his fights no more. I knew it was Rock'em Sock'em Robots at that point. If Pacquiao beat a young, strong southpaw, and that, you know what, we'll get into that when we get to predictions. Pay-per-view. Let's get the pay-per-view numbers. Now this the most important part for real. This is what's gonna bring boxing back. It's gonna bring it back from Conor McGregor. Well, nah, Conor McGregor actually worked in boxing's favor, but it's gonna bring us back from Mayweather, Pacquiao, and people saying it was boring because Floyd outboxed him. What type of numbers do you expect from this fight?
Well, first, people, I don't know why people don't realize this. I do, since I've dated Filipino women before, but America has a huge, and I mean huge, Filipino population. And I don't think people really realize that. Like, I think it's just as many Filipinos here as it is Mexicans, for real. Real talk. Because
He said as many as
for
Mexico.
real, for real. Because okay, when the Pacquiao fight happens, where they come from? It'd be whole restaurants full of Filipino people out of nowhere. Out of nowhere.
No, that is a very good point because first thing I did was call a couple people I knew, and I called my brother because he might be going, and he said, "Man, we might go to fight." But you know what? I was down there. I was in Vegas for the
That
Adrian
was
Bronner
Filipino.
Pacquiao fight, and all his people was there. It was,
Hey,
and
when
all
I tell you,
he just told me this, man. He was like, and all we did not have this conversation prior to you saying that. So I mean, you just brought it back to mind. He said all his people was there. I mean, I was like what? Like Pacquiao fans? He's like, no, his people, bro. His people was there. It was not, we couldn't get no hotel. They was everywhere. And I was like, yo. He said, I might go to Gervonta Tank Davis fight in Atlanta. That might be the move for me.
well, here's the thing about that. Here's the thing, and here's another reason why they was trying to have Pacquiao's fight in Macau. One, Filipino people culturally are a high gambling culture. They gamble
Okay.
a lot. So
Okay.
either being in Vegas or Macau would jumpstart the economy just from them being in that area. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? So
okay.
that's one part of it. Number two, and this is no offense to anybody, but I would say that Filipinos, Vietnamese people dominate the nail industry, especially in Vegas, California, and all along that line. So it's so many, like you got people. I got aunts and uncle or aunts in on the East Coast that fly to the West Coast to get their nails done and fly back because it's just a totally different culture. So just imagine all of those people massed in those little pockets and everybody coming out. It's really like that. Like okay, how it is when you was it FC Cincinnati where
Yeah.
all these fans come out of nowhere and you be like, where all these soccer fans come from? Like I
Walk
didn't
a
even know it was
mile.
real like this.
They walk
Right.
5, 10 miles to the stadium from their house. It's not 10 miles, but they'll walk 5 miles downtown from Clifton
Standing room only in the street.
for some soccer games, for some soccer team that's only been here like under 10 years. They go crazy over them. But no, that's a good point. So look, I mean, we're real excited. We had to make this video as soon as possible just to get this out, to get our opinions out about all this. But to close this out, the whole top ranked Terrence Crawford, like, what you think about this whole thing now as it relates? I mean, are we gonna get the fight? Did he get played? Was this PBC doing a thing behind the shadows the whole time? How you feel?
It's a mix of things, and I think that Al Heyman and Errol tried to give him a chance early on. They tried to give him a couple chances. The first chance that they tried to give him was literally telling him face to face, "You need to leave Bob Arum at a
Right?
specific time," and everybody said it. And I could not believe that he didn't do it. So much so that I was like, he must have an alternative plan. Ain't no way he could be this. I'm not even gonna say dumb, but naive to think that Bob was going to treat you better than he's already been treating you. He hasn't spent the money he was supposed to spend on you. He's taken so much of the profit that he's not even considering promoting you when you could be the face of boxing just from your personality. Not even talking, just his grit, how he carry himself, how blue collar he is, family man. You know what I'm saying? Like he could be the poster guy if Bob treated it right. But Bob ain't never believed in him. And matter of fact, since we're really talking about it, Bob ain't never pushed a black fighter like he pushed Oscar. I mean, Ali sold himself, so he didn't do no work on that.
Right.
Did no work. So
Right. I mean, as far as the push thing, sometimes I lean towards him not pushing us, and other times I lean towards him not knowing how to push us. Because I've seen him have press conferences. I remember the Floyd Mayweather Zab Judah. I remember the Floyd Mayweather Gotti. I remember the Floyd Mayweather. So many other contests he had. The press conferences when Bob would introduce him as the best thing since Ali. He can do. He's the most gifted, intuitive boxer he ever seen in his life. He's going to be the next Muhammad Ali, next Sugar Ray Leonard. He got the beautiful smile and all this other stuff, and it wasn't working. And Floyd said it don't work. Marketing is not just getting in front of some other old white men and telling them about me and me going to shake their hands and smile. It's getting out to the other communities and finding out a way for them to buy into me. I'm not gonna be somebody else. And even if I was that person, well, Sugar Ray Leonard was your gold medalist, right? He came back. He was always smiling. He was a family man. He did everything right, and you had to sell him. You ain't get to sell Tyson Fury. You ain't had to sell the guy that just won, Josh Taylor from Scotland. You don't have to sell some people when the majority of the community is already their demographic. But what Floyd was saying, just like he got with um a guy that promoted tours and organized tours for black people, of course he would know how. Of course Al Heyman would know how to get the word, to spread the word out without spending too much money on the front end, getting it all on the back end. So no, I actually, after I talked through it, I agree with you. Bob did not push him the right way. And as you said, why stay with a guy who can't push you the right way when there's a black man who's been doing tours for Drake, for Beyonce, and many others?
Hold on,
And
hold on, hold on. We can't say many others without saying the tippy top.
who is it?
He promoted Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. We go back to Michael Jackson, the best on stage performer of all time,
of all time.
a person that helped organize with this individual, and you don't want to come over. Maybe Tim Bradley got you confused out here. What the program was, because Tim Bradley was short and didn't have any personality, and he didn't have a lot of physical attributes that would, you know, make him eye popping when he got in the ring. But you do have those things. So why didn't you go over? Why did you resign a contract? So I will chop this up to just this all being a negative impact on Crawford because of his decision making, not because PBC is in collusion with Pacquiao. He just wants to get paid, and he tried to get paid with you guys. Not that Errol Spence has it against you. He's trying to, and the fighters at PBC are trying to block you out. They asked to fight you. I remember Sean Porter saying he wants to fight you. Remember Danny Garcia saying he fought you and beat you in the amateurs once, and that would be a good storyline for you to fight. I remember Sean Porter coming to you, and you deny him on several occasions in the midst of waiting for all this. And the fact that you are waiting to fight a junior welterweight right now, an undisputed junior welterweight, as your step-up fight is ridiculous when a guy's going from, again, Kell Brook, going to Lamont Peterson, going to Mikey Garcia, going to Sean Porter. What his resume better than everybody at Top Rank right now, including Tyson Fury. So
now here, I got two things. So one, I think that, how can I say this? All right. So Bob Arum, of course, is an old school promoter.
Right.
And the biggest reason why I would say that Crawford kind of goes for his jargon or whatever you want to call it is because he's a for real throwback fighter. He's an old school fighter from a blue collar background. What you tell me is what I believe, rather than the political side of boxing. And to be perfectly honest, it's more people in today's time that are more politically aware and notice the patterns that people say. And if we really want to analyze boxing as far as how it was originally looked at, as far as world powers and really being used as propaganda in a way, Bob still talks like that. And he thinks people don't recognize that he talks like that. And people like Crawford don't recognize the difference in it at that time until it bites him. We saw it coming because we've seen him do it to other people, and we're fans of Mayweather, so we know the pattern. But it's just the things that Bob Arum says to his fighters or says on behalf of his fighters. It's like he's talking loud and saying nothing. It's like you don't really believe, and nor would you purposely disrespect Ali by saying that he's as great as him if he hasn't proved it. Like you're over talking too much, which leads me to believe that you're saying something you don't even believe. You know what I'm saying? I always thought that because Bob does that every time he does an interview. He just over talks something and tries to make you believe something that don't even make sense.
Right. They're sellers. They're salesmen by trade. But that's a good point. And at the end of the day with Crawford, it's not that I don't think he I mean, I don't think he or well, I don't think it's him not knowing. I don't think he cares because he wants that part of the business to be taken care of. Man, this made me think about the last time I played the story mode in Fight Night Championship or the last Fight Night that came out. Like, it don't make no sense that you see this. You see it in every single boxing movie. You hear it from Mike Tyson. You hear it from Zab Judah. You hear it from all these people that had all these cricket promoters, Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, whoever had a cricket promoter, Bernard Hopkins back in the day, say, this guy promised me a lot. He lied to me. I had to go in his office, had to wreck some stuff, or something had to get happen. I had to buy myself up my contract, and I moved on, and I no longer like that guy. And you seeing the same things. This guy already told you he ain't messing with you. He told you he ain't working with you directly. You got to go through Cameron Duncan or somebody else. He said he ain't spend no more money on you. He said he's losing money on you. You keep re-signing with him and saying he's a good guy. And then this guy on the other end that told you up front what his plan was. He said, what you going to do? Why wouldn't I take the easy road and fight everybody on my side of the street and then fight you? That's blatant. That's straightforward. Blue collar guy. Last time I checked, he gave you the whole map. And every time you come back and say, has the map changed? Nah. Oh, you fake. I told you the game plan. You going to another man that actually lied to you each time and said, you gonna lie this time? No, I ain't gonna lie this time. That's what I'm talking about, my man. That don't make no type of sense. It made me feel like insecure in his value. I don't think he thought I think he was like, you know what? I'm gonna go fight these dudes and be the best I can be. Oh, I'm beating some of them? Shoot, I'm about to keep riding this ride. Because if you thought you was the man, you would have never stayed with nobody like that. You thought that if you came over to Al Heyman's crew, although everybody else was getting his money, you wouldn't be, I don't know, the top guy, wherever. He's going to let you fight it out to be the top guy. That's right. What's going on over there. Y'all going to fight it out. Ain't no preferences. Last time he don't even speak. So we know it ain't no preferences. Is Keith, what? Keith, you going to fight Danny? Sean Porter, you gonna fight Errol? Oh, Errol, you gonna fight Mikey? Oh, no. Charlo, you gonna fight? It's just that. That's what's going on. Whoever win the fight, get the check. And then and what I'll be hearing is that everybody getting the same check. Everybody getting the bank. Yeah, I just lost 3 fights in a row, but them checks nice. That's what I keep hearing from Danny. I ain't hear Danny complain at all. He stay losing. Sean Porter be losing. I ain't hear him complain at all. Keith over there asking for $10 million, so you know something was going well over there.
See, Al knows the importance of spreading your assets out and being efficient on every last one of them. The original game plan as far as how to make money promotionally in boxing is to leech and damn near, dry out your boxer, but at a slow enough rate where you get the most fights out of them and they don't notice what your tactic is.
To be honest,
I think Al kind of flipped that on its head, but still kind of moves his chess pieces as things play out.
To be honest, I'm taking a business strategy class, and they teach businesses to do that. They tell them once you see an asset that is not going to grow in the future, you make a game plan to get rid of that asset or allocate less resources to it. Mm-hmm. To something that you think is the future. And that's all Bob doing. He following the capitalistic game plan. But guess what, companies? Right. Every time y'all doing that, but y'all fail. Y'all do that, but y'all make people poor. Y'all leech off of other entities, and y'all end up being corrupt. That's all it leads to. This power, why do you want to grow? Why don't you want to just provide a good product? No, we don't even want to provide that product no more. We want to do that product. You don't even specialize in that. But that's what business need to do. You need to grow. For what? What you doing it for? Who you doing this for? Oh, some people at the top need some money. Okay. That's all it is. ESPN, Disney, All them want the cash, and they say, Bob, you the best at tricking folk. Go get it for us.
Right.
Go get it for us. But guess who got tricked today? Y'all. Oh, y'all got tricked today. And I'm going to close it out with that. EJ, Errol Spence Jr. versus Manny Pacquiao is going to be on August 21st, couple days after my birthday. I don't know what we're going to do about seeing it, but we will give y'all a fight prediction pretty soon here after we start seeing them training. I got to see Manny Pacquiao talking mad trash about being fast and strong. I want to see what he doing with, Freddie Roach over here. We ain't gonna even get on Freddie Roach right now, but we gonna see this training first, and then we'll give you a prediction video.
Well, I'll say this just as to speaking something into existence. If we don't leave town for the fight, let's try to set up a rooftop situation for the fight so we can be bossed up.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. We can definitely do that.
Bring the fight to us.
We'll close it out. Make sure y'all comment, like, share, and click that notification bell so y'all can get notifications when these videos come up. That's another one for the books. Renaissance. We out.